Because if we understand the sun better and we understand the layers of the sun, etc., then we're going to be able to understand how we can generate our own energy and we can have more life in our life. We can have more energy in our life. Okay, so that's what I have right here for you today. I have this. How's it going on, guys? My name is Jake Smith. This is Beyond the Physical. If you like metaphysical things, esoteric, spiritual, philosophical, you are in the right place because today we're talking about the sun. This is Beyond the Physical again. My name is Jake Smith. I'm wearing this Belmont shirt today. It's just a nice big bright yellow shirt because we are talking about the sun. We're talking about life. We're talking about energy, right? So there's not a better example in our lives to represent more of life, right, than the sun. The sun has and gives us this photosynthesis, right, that gives life to plants, it gives life to us. We know we receive vitamin D from the sun that gives us life as well. There's just so many pieces of our earth that if we didn't have the sun, we would just be this big ball of rock, of this frozen rock that would be just tumbling through space, right? So the sun is what gives us life, and the sun is also a great example of how we can see our own life, our own energy through, the principles of what the sun has to offer. So today I'm going to be talking in metaphysical terms about what the sun has to offer as far as principles. Because if we understand the sun better and we understand the layers of the sun, etc., then we're going to be able to understand how we can generate our own energy and we can have more life in our life. We can have more energy in our life. Okay, so that's what I have right here for you today. I have this little representation. It's on my iPad, my handy dandy notebook. I'm going to be just drawing a little bit about, these pieces of our life. I'm going to be putting our pieces in our life into the sun and showing you how it represents our life. Okay. So I'm going to start here. So what goes first? Okay. If we're looking at the sun in a very physical way, what does the sun have to offer? What is the sun made out of? There are a bunch of these elements of what the sun is. Okay. So in the very middle of the sun, there is a core. There is a core to the sun. Okay. There is a core of the sun. So what does the core of the sun, how does the core of the sun represent us? Like, what do we have in our own lives that could be representative of a core something, right? For me, and what I've noticed is that people who have a core usually have core beliefs. So for me, if I want to represent a sun, if I want to be in line with like what the sun has to offer or the principles of a sun, I should understand that at some point I have to have some type of core of where my energy is going to be exuding out from, right? So as far as my own personal principles and morals and all that good stuff, I have to have a core. Like there has to be something that's very innate within me. And those are the core beliefs, right? Those can be your core beliefs about where everything comes from, right? Rob Dyrdek has this line that I love. It's your macro beliefs create your micro decisions, okay? And that's what I'm going to be explaining right here. So your macro beliefs, they're in your core. Like what does everything else come out of? Okay, so in the macro area, in this core, we have what our beliefs are, and these things change sometimes. As we evolve, as we experience life, sometimes these things change, and as we move forward, whatever, we become more intelligent about who we are. But for right now, I'm going to write, I am Jake. I'm writing that in the center. It's a little bit pixelated, so I'm sorry about that. I'm going to just put the font down a little bit. So I'm going to write Jake, but there's also, I also know that I have a soul. Okay. I have a soul. That's a belief that I know. Okay. What's another one? You can also put affirmations in here. So what's something that I like or enjoy about myself that I want to continue or that I want to incorporate or that I believe that I am? Okay. I believe that I am an athlete. Wow, that is pixelated. I'm sorry. Okay, pixelated, whatever, athlete right there. So I'm Jake, I have a soul, I have an athlete. That's part of what my core beliefs entail. So this is the core of the sun. These are like my core beliefs. Okay, so if these are my core beliefs, then what does the rest of my life look like? Okay, if I am an athlete, okay, I'm going to turn it around like this. And the energy is shooting outwards from the core because I know my energy comes from the core. What are some things that are in my life that represent or sort of exude or could be the next layer of my life as far as what it means to be an athlete? Okay, so if I'm an athlete, then what would be the next part? Then I, practice, right? So if I am an athlete, then I work out. This is also belief, right? I believe that I work out if I'm an athlete. I also believe that an athlete, because I'm an athlete, gets coached. So I'm gonna write gets coached. And is humble enough to listen to the coach, which I've had struggles with in the past. Full disclosure. So this is what these sections look like. So what also comes out of this macro decision, making these micro, or the macro beliefs making these micro decisions, okay? This micro decision now might be, okay, I get up at 6 a.m. to work out because the rest of my life may be over here because of who I am. Like maybe I go to school or I'm a student as well or something like that. That could go over here. But for my athletics, I know that because I'm an athlete, I know I need to work out. That also means I need to get up at 6 a.m. to do that. So that's what this is, okay? So what else also has to happen? I mean, a bunch of other things, and I can write them out here. Like maybe protein goes out here. This is a micro thing, but it can make up this macro belief that I have about myself. So this protein, right? So I have protein in here. It can be a million different things of whatever I believe that an athlete should be. And I need to be able to listen, to be humble enough to listen to whatever that is. So that also comes with being more conscious, being more self-aware, understanding what's around me and what a good athlete represents and what, an athlete entails, right? And for me, it's like nutrition. Okay, so protein goes there. All right, so I put protein in there. What else is a part of this, okay? So now I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. This is gonna be white just because I don't know how else to draw it with a black border. But for this example, I'm gonna write something that's blocking my sun, my beams, my rays, my whatever you want to call it, my energy, something that's blocking my energy. What is something that can block my energy from being an athlete? Wow, that is horrible. I'm going to redo that just for the sake of... Oh yeah, that one's way better. For me, I noticed when I was in high school, me playing a lot of video games didn't help me become a better athlete. I'm not even saying video games are bad, but for me, video games were blocking this belief that I had. They were blocking the intentions that I had. They were blocking the effort that I was putting into being an athlete. And therefore my raise that I expected from myself, that I was sort of, I wanted to be, like I wanted to be an athlete. And therefore this ray was being blocked by this video game. So I was using a lot of energy playing video games when I probably should have been practicing. This came to like my sophomore year of high school. I realized, well, I'm working on my video game character in MLB 2K, more than I'm working on my own personal character in my own real baseball. Like I was focusing on like just the wrong things if I assumed that I should be an athlete. If I wanted to be an athlete, I was focusing a little bit too much on the video games. Not even saying video games are bad, again. But what ended up happening was my ray had to come kind of around, which is physically not really real, The straightest line between 2 points are the most direct. What is wrong with me? It's the shortest line between 2 points is straight, right? So if I want to conserve my energy, if I want to understand where my energy is going, then I should try to make them as straight as possible. I can even put, if I'm Jake, I like to play video games sometimes, so I can move it over here, right? And I can just say, look, I want that, just a little piece of that. I want to still be me, and I still want to have fun, so I'm going to put this over here. That way, I can allocate some time for Jake, right? And not just for the athlete Jake. And that way I can sort of customize my energy so that I'm not creating expectations for myself by saying I'm going to be an athlete and then assuming that I have all this time and all this energy when I'm spending some of this time and some of this energy on playing video games. Then I become disappointed that I'm not the athlete that I wanted to. Then my energy is wasted and I'm just spinning my wheels, right? I'm going against what my core beliefs are, my macro beliefs, right? So as we better understand our sun, our life, right? Because the sun is an example of our life. This is how you customize your life, right? If I wanted to just have fun with this, I can just go into each one of these layers and write out exactly who I think I am, where I belong, and what I want to be doing, okay? I'm going to be using the sun in a million different ways, but one of the cool things is that the sun actually exudes these rays. And not only does it exude the rays for you to be able to see what you want, like the visible energy that comes from the sun is actually visible light as well that kind of refracts off of things that we can kind of make sense of in our lives. So if we use some of our energy to do that, then we can kind of learn and explore. That's part of what the sun is as well. But also people can see who we are. As we display these things in our lives that like, oh, Jake does get up at 6 a.m. Jake eats protein. Jake works out. There's a good chance he's an athlete. And you can think of yourself as that too. So as you start to incorporate these layers into your life, layers of the sun, the sun has layers. So these are layers, right? You're going to understand that like, you're going to be able to see yourself as well as an athlete or as, if I part of myself is like, I have a soul. One of the things that I want to incorporate, and this goes for Jake, is that I want to be one with myself, because this is an esoteric channel, right? So I'm going to write one with self, right? I want to understand who I am, right? And what is a layer that goes, if this is a goal of mine, if I want to reach this, if I want to become this, then one of the things that I could put in here is just meditate. I can understand myself better if that's part of my layer. It's part of my life, right? I had this macro decision of what I wanted to be and who I am. And if it's an affirmation, it's who I am. It's right now, right? So I am an athlete. I have a soul. I am Jake. I am a good person. I do think about others. And you can write those all in your macro beliefs. And then through the rays, you can be very conscious about where your rays are going, so you can be very articulate about what those things are. And this is how we can better understand where our energy is and how we can have a better life and more fulfilling life and a more energetic life. And again, this is a great way to harness your energy, because we all have energy, right? We all have energy, and it's just depending on how we use it and how we want to alter our lives in those ways. This is a great way to customize your life and a great way to energize your life if you can think of it like this. So with that, my name is Jake Smith, and this has been Beyond the Physical. So like and subscribe if you like this video. There's going to be a bunch more where this came from.